It's like a potato. Baked potato. Talking baked potato.
My God. They're like trolls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Greetings, unit soldiers, clones, and temps. I've got great news. I just saved 10% by switching to Atmos. Welcome to episode 147 of an Unearthly Podcast. Streaming live on the 24th of February and featuring the Sontaran Stratagem and the Poison Sky. Written by Helen Raynor and starring David Tennant, Catherine Tate, and Freema Agyeman. And Wilf. Wilf is always the star.
Yes,
Yes.
you put Bernard Cribbins in anything, and he will proceed to immediately steal the show.
I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell,
Zug zug.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Always a pleasure.
and Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Ooby-doo.
Romeo Moon is currently, I think, captive by the Sontarans. Hopefully she's feeling better next week and will be giving us her thoughts at that time.
I don't know. I think the Rootins might be closer to a flu bug.
You're darn tootin' for these rootins.
Yes, but we skipped the Rootin episode, so...
Yeah, I know. In retrospect, I'm wondering if we should have. Because they only really have one. You can't really make a story arc out of the Rootins, because they only appear in Fang Rock.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah, that was the only appearance of the Rootins, is in Horror of Fang Rock. And they weren't that impressive, which is probably why we never saw them again.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd be better if they revisited by now.
Well, if I remember right, they're shapeshifters, which would at this point in time would kind of make them competition with the Zygons in terms of public consciousness.
And their natural form looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a balloon.
Oh, I love balloons. Balloons are fun.
Apparently
You
some
want-
Sontarans don't care for
A
balloons.
slimy, tentacle-y balloon?
Hey, I'm not balloonist. You know, we accept balloons of all shapes and sizes.
Until it eats your face off.
I'm sorry. I'd look at that thing today and go, I'm sorry, the Japanese schoolgirls are over there.
You got the wrong country, my friend. Well, I'll be going that way.
All right, so let's get on to our news. We actually do have some news today.
Some.
Not a lot, but a bit. First of all, we do have a couple of birthdays. First of all, a happy birthday to Tony Head, known as the headmaster in School Reunion, and best known as Rupert Giles in the series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And also one of my leading candidates that I always wanted to see play the Doctor or the Master.
Yes.
Tony turned 62 on Saturday, the 20th. Also, a posthumous happy birthday to, is it Gary or Jerry Davis?
I would say Jerry, but I don't have any audio confirmation of that.
Jerry with a G, people. Davis, the co-creator of the Cybermen and the former script editor of Doctor Who. He would have been 86 on Tuesday the 23rd. However, he left us in 1991.
Yeah, that's sad. Oh.
Yeah, but that's also over 20 years ago now, so you can't get that depressed about it. It's not like, frickin' Elizabeth Sladen, who I'm still sad has left us.
Yeah. But we have next week to dwell on Elizabeth Sladen.
Yes.
Oh no, the feels.
This week
Oh,
we can
God,
dwell
yes.
on this week we can dwell on the lack of Nicholas Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Well, moving on, we have another from births to passings. John Rollison, the actor who played Harold Chorley, the television journalist in the Web of Fear story arc in 1968, has passed away at the age of 84.
Yeah, we just covered the Web of Fear, like, what, a couple of months ago? About maybe like 3 or 4 now?
Mm-hmm. He was born in Birmingham, and he began his acting career working in the Birmingham Rep. He's mostly known for television. He appeared in The Children of the New Forest, and in 1962 he played Dr. Martin King in 3 episodes of The Avengers. I doubt if it's any connection to Dr. Martin Luther King.
No, I doubt it. And I bet that's the character he's actually portraying there in his picture. The one that looks like Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Complete with the nerd glasses.
He is survived by his second wife, Janet, and 3 children. Well, we all send our condolences to them.
He was 84, so that's a good run. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Can't say much about that. And of course, our episode news is that there is no episode news whatsoever. Be prepared for a lot of that as far as our episode news.
Until they start, until they start filming the Class.
Until they start filming Class, until they, give us more information on Class, and they start for the Christmas special this year. That's pretty much all we have to look forward to.
By the way, we don't have dates on our list, but it looks like it was closer to a year ago because it was late season 3 that we did the Web of Fear.
Oh, I know it was right after they were released.
Time is going by quickly, though.
Yeah, I keep getting older. Damn it. Damn it, I want to be a Time Lord so I wouldn't have to worry about getting older. I wouldn't age, I'd regenerate. And trust me, this body could use a regeneration about now.
Carrot juice.
Of course, it's so simple.
You say carrot juice, and I could just see the 6th Doctor literally walking in on Bill and smacking him upside the head with a juicer.
All right, moving on to some happier news. We have some competitions brought to us by DoctorWhoNews.net.
Who's in a wind tunnel?
I am in a wind tunnel right now. I'm sorry, I cannot do anything about the wind. It's really windy outside.
Yeah, you're getting about the same weather as me, just not windy at the same time as me.
It's windy here, too, but mind you, we have an excuse because it's like snowing north of us and snowing south of us. So we're like,
we're in the middle of a thunderstorm, so.
No, Wisconsin's not getting snowed on, Matt. Canada north of us is getting snowed on us, and Illinois south of us is.
Okay, I was just going to say, wait, I'm north of you. I better not be getting any snow. There's no snow for this week.
Okay. The first competition is for the 4th Doctor Adventures Wave of Destruction by Big Finish. I just want to confirm before reading. Okay, I just wanted to confirm before reading the blurb that is not one of our regular news pieces. A modulated frequency wave cancellation signal isn't something that the Doctor and Romana expected to detect in 1960s London. But then they don't expect to find Professor Lanchester, the man who invented it, lying unconscious, or MI5 investigating. With the help of MI5 agent Miller, Lanchester's daughter Jill, and his nephew, a pirate radio DJ called Mark, the Doctor, Romana, and K9 investigate. They soon discover that there is more at risk than they imagine, and an alien invasion is about to begin. Can the Doctor identify and defeat the aliens in time? Will Romana manage to find a recombinant transducer before it's too late? And how will K9 cope with his new job? I'm probably not going to read all of the blurbs because there's a lot of competitions here, so I'm just going to skim the rest of them. But to win a digital download of that story, you want to email comp-bf4d@doctorwhonews.net with the subject turning in, answering the following question. Wave of Destruction is set in the 1960s, but in the decade before, another menace carried through the airwaves was a threat to the Doctor. What was the entity called? You'll want to
And here's a hint, guys. Think your Tenant era.
Yep.
think your Gaddis. You'll want to include the fact that you heard about the competition here on an Unearthly Podcast. And it does, and you include your name and email address. Although if you're emailing them, I suppose they should have your email address, but please include it just to be safe. It says you do need to have an active registration with Big Finish in order to receive the prize, as they will be giving you the prize through BigFinish.com. Yeah, as they remind us, new registrations are free. You do not need to commit any credit card information or anything like that to register.
Yep.
The next is last year's novelization of the Douglas Adams episode City of Death, which was novelized by James Goss. This is the another Fourth Doctor Romana and K9 story. This one's set in 1970s Paris and other times and places. To have the chance to win the novel courtesy of BBC Books, you want to email comp-citybook@doctorwhonews.net with the subject line, "Nobody could be as stupid as he seems," answering the following question. Before the theft of the Mona Lisa, which item in his collection did Count Scarleone tell his butler Herman to sell in order to continue to fund Kerensky's research? You'll want to include your name, your physical address so they can send the book, and once again, the fact that you heard about the competition here on an Unearthly Podcast. This competition, unlike the other, is only open to UK residents.
Ah,
Dang it.
Dang.
And I know of when that line was said too. I just can't think of what the painting it was.
By the way, all of these competitions do close on the 21st of February. Wait, what? Oh, wow. So, you know what? I'm probably just going to stop because the 21st of February is already passed. When did they announce these?
I think we missed it last week.
Yes.
Wah,
So
wah,
they
wah.
announced it last week after we took our news, and the competitions only lasted half a week. So,
Great
Dang.
competition. Not even a full week to do it.
I wish
Well-
I realized that before I started reading them. Oh, well.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Well, that was a
Sorry,
waste.
anybody who already sent their email.
Yarg.
All right, so we have another little tidbit of news here. It seems Peter Capaldi is going to be endlessly cast to play a Roman these days. He has been hired to feature in a special series of films that are marking the 400-year anniversary of the death of William Shakespeare. The complete walk is organized by Shakespeare's Globe, the theater complex that we would be familiar with for seeing it in the Shakespeare Code. The walk is being held over the spring weekend of 23 to 24 April and will feature a series of short films shown on 37 screens along a 2.5-mile route on the Thames embankment between Westminster and Tower Bridge. Each screen will show a 10-minute film based on one of Shakespeare's plays. Each shot on location in a setting with particular historical and narrative resonance to the story. Capaldi will play the General Titus Andronicus in a series specially shot in Rome, most likely for Julius Caesar, I would think.
Most likely.
Other films include Cleopatra in Front of the Pyramids, Shylock in Venice's Jewish Ghetto, Hamlet on the Rocks of Elsinore, Henry VIII at Hampton Court Palace, and Richard II in Westminster Hall. That one didn't take him that far to film. Yet it's not just Peter Capaldi involved with this. Other Doctor Who alumni are also going to be in various scenes, including Lindsay Duncan, who you might remember from The Waters of Mars as the commander of the Mars mission, will be in All's Well That Ends Well, filmed in Roussillon, and Mira Seal. Anybody recognize Mira Seal's name?
No.
Oh, she was in the 11th Hour.
Hmm.
She played like one of Amy's friends. And she will be as Lucetta in The Two Gentlemen of Verona. Once this
Amy's
project
friend, so
is...
would that be the old lady that was wondering why she had a different job every week?
No, I think this was one of her other friends.
I don't remember her having other friends in that episode.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. No, she played Nazarene Chudry in 2 episodes alongside Matt Smith.
Hmm.
So it was a 2-parter in series 5 that she was in, and it was her one of her co-stars from another program that was in the 11th Hour. Anyway, after appearing in London, the project will be presented in cities across the United Kingdom and internationally. After which, the films will be accessible on Globe Player, which means we'll all be able to watch them there.
Cool. Well, speaking of being able to watch things on things, if you're upset that Doctor Who is no longer on Netflix, it's coming to Amazon Prime.
Yay for me and meh for probably a lot of other people.
Yeah, that's kind of a goddammit.
Yes. It will be only available for streaming for Amazon Prime users. A $99 per year investment.
And that's what annoys me.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, I already have Netflix. I already have Hulu Plus. Heck, with Aaron's upgrade, we have Hulu Plus Plus and get the stuff commercial free. But now I've got to shell out another $100 a year just to get another show just to stream episodes of Doctor Who I've already seen. And to be honest, I'm only missing 1 season of Doctor Who. Just happened to be series 4.
Not sure if I should call phrasing on this, but I'm now picturing Aaron as a Cyberman. Because you mentioned Aaron's upgrade.
Hulu shall be upgraded. Upgrading is compulsory.
But no, it's, you know, it was fine when it was on 2 networks. If they wanted to add Amazon Prime, I would have been fine with that. But they had to take it away from the other 2 to make it exclusive.
What kind of deal is that?
It's not a deal. It's essentially Amazon wasting money for our service that nobody's going to use because fuck that noise.
Yep. And what about this, the thing about the BBC launching its own streaming service?
We haven't heard any news yet.
Yeah,
It's
that's still not known. Although I believe Series 9 is the most recent. I know. I believe the article mentions Amazon Prime is only getting Series 1 through 8. So in theory, Series 9 will be available to watch on BBC America, but I don't think they've actually started that yet.
Well, okay.
I mean, bbcamerica.com, I should say.
I have issues because I need to kick my cable company in the ass. Because Charter has BBC America. We have BBC America HD. We do not, however, get BBC America On Demand.
I think that might be controlled by the network. For instance, the only channel that I cannot get any shows from, even though I have the channel, seems to be Nick. And that's because Nick feels like being a douchebag about a lot of things and wants you to go to their website and do all kinds of other hoops to jump through.
Well,
So
mind you,
I think that's determined by the network rather than by the cable provider. They just take whatever they're given.
well, no, because Charter has actually had times where they poll us to go, what new things do you want on demand? And we get advertisements all the time on BBC America to watch this on BBC America On Demand.
Oh, okay.
But It's Charter's just not picking. They're too cheap to pick up. The on demand isn't like an additional
Well, you see
cost.
that's too much. That's too much alphabet soup. You get to BBC AOD, and they're just like, no, that's just too many letters. We need to cancel this.
Yeah. Well,
Alphabeti spaghetti.
And by the
Why
look
is
of
it lately
things-
every time I tell a joke on this podcast, it's greeted by silence?
I'm
Oh, did you-
sorry. I was actually going to the BBC's BBC America's website and looking up their full episodes, all of which for Series 9 of Doctor Who seems to have 5 days remaining.
Hmm.
So that would be March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
Whereas, like, the Graham Norton show says 84 days left. Okay.
Hmm.
But both Series 7, 8, and 9, which are on BBC America, all say 5 days left. Husbands of River Song, 5 days left. So, starting March 1st, their website won't have any Doctor Who.
Have they already done the thing where they did the re-airings with the pop-up quotes and stuff?
I
coming
pay no
soon?
attention to that.
Right. Because the reason I ask is because it's possible that they're taking down the old versions for the new ones to replace them.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I stopped paying attention to BBC America after our season ended because right now there's nothing on there I want to watch. I'm paying more attention to AMC and CW right now than I am to any other network.
Hmm. Oh. Oh, there's another streaming news thing. Crave TV announced to stream Doctor Who in Canada, which Crave TV will be the exclusive streaming service for the show in the country of Canada, according to Bell Media and BBC Worldwide North America.
And you know, we might actually now know the reason for why Netflix and Hulu don't have them. Because Crave TV is a Canada-only service. Hulu and Netflix, I believe their version is North America. So it might be that, or their licenses are North America. So it could be that they pulled them because they wanted to do this exclusive thing with Crave. And then when America howled, they went, "Oh yes, we need to do something for the colonials."
Yeah, that's possible. I know when Netflix first started, it was America only, but when they kind of branched out, their licenses may have changed.
Yeah, because when they said they canceled it, they said it was canceled in North America,
Right.
which meant U.S., Canada, Mexico.
I see.
So I really think it was because they've had this ongoing partnership with Space.
So
And
this is
Space, and Crave is apparently Space's partner. Everything that Space airs goes to Crave.
Okay.
So they decided to make it exclusive there, and then when we started howling, they're like, "Oh, right." All right, we'll put it on Amazon.
What? No!
brilliant.
Stop!
Bloody hell.
I'm just waiting to see the numbers come back and they just realize, oh, it's like doing shit on Amazon. Maybe we should.
I'm sure Amazon pays BBC the same amount regardless of how many people watch it, but
Still, I'm pretty sure they will notice when the viewings stop, and then Amazon quickly decides, yeah, it's not worth it.
I mean, Netflix.
I don't know about that. It can only improve Amazon's numbers. It can't hurt them. It can hurt Netflix. I could see a bunch of people canceling their $100 a year Netflix subscription, pay $100 a year to Amazon.
No, Bill.
No, Bill. No.
Oh.
Just for Doctor Who, no.
No.
According to the,
Doctor Who's not the only show on Amazon Prime.
No. That's not what's. But you're forgetting the other Netflix exclusive shows, like Daredevil.
True. There's also the bonus that Amazon Prime tends to get things as quickly as iTunes in certain cases, not every case, but certain ones. So it is competitive, just not in all of the same ways as Netflix.
There is a lot of good stuff coming down the pipe in Netflix. The success of the Marvel TV series has basically had them pressing ahead full steam with a whole bunch of Netflix original series. So, really, Netflix should have been the place to stay for Doctor Who, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Well,
some people will be split and some people will pull out for both, but I'm pretty sure the grand majority of them are just going to say, oh, fuck it, I'll find another way to find Doctor Who later.
Yeah, it's called torrent sites. Really, I've gone back to the 2000s. I really have. I don't have to do it for much because I have series 1 to 3 on DVD.
To be fair, a year of Amazon Prime is cheaper than a sonic screwdriver remote control, so...
Yes, but that sonic screwdriver remote control comes with all 8 seasons. Well,
I thought the $100 price was for it by itself. It was the higher price with all 8 that came with the DVDs or Blu-rays, whichever.
It was only that set was only like $150. Which made it exceedingly worth it. Next, now it's going to be a priority for me to buy that for the con. Just so I can get Series 4 and the specials for the next time we try to review any of them.
Anyway, we are running low on time for news, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next piece. Oh, actually, no, that's because we started...
Not that far, no.
That's because we started extremely late. Never mind. But... Either way, unless we have anything new to say about it, I'll go ahead and move on.
No. We're just going to continue to bitch about it.
Yep.
Like every week.
I forgot we started 25 minutes late, so yeah, we're not actually 50 minutes in. Okay. For those following Doctor Who Legacy, which is now in its 3rd year, they have introduced a new level based on the Husbands of River song. The new level is in response to customer demands and includes new costumes, new allies, new enemies, and new backgrounds to the game. The game already includes all 13 Doctors, nearly 200 playable allies and companions, enemies from both modern and classic Who, and extended universe content from Big Finish, Titan Comics, and George Mann's Engines of War novel, as well as a bigger on the inside 8-bit style retro adventure. It's not actually giving a list of what new content is included in the level. They do mention, they mention it's a 10-level premium pack, which is on sale
for $3
for the reduced price of $2.99 US.
$3. And this is for a game that's normally free. Jesus, Tim, how do you sleep?
I swear your windows are thinner than mine.
They are.
We get like, spooky sound in here, but it's still manageable.
Yeah, I almost swear your windows were wide open and they get that kind of noise.
No, I made sure to keep my windows closed during the wintertime. Otherwise, I'd freeze to death.
Whereas my window is wide open because my downstairs neighbor seems to be trying to boil me alive.
Oh, I remember those days.
No, Bill, I used to live in a house that had convection heating, so it was like oil pipes, which was fine if you were on the 1st floor or the 3rd floor, but we lived on the 2nd floor. So we had pipes below and above us. 20 degrees below 0 outside. I have my windows wide open, and it's 93 degrees in the house.
So it's a little bit worse than my room.
My older brother used to live in an apartment that was right above a bagel store, and the bathroom was right above the oven.
Ooh.
Well, it'd be nice and toasty toilet sitting.
Yeah.
I get the feeling you get warm
the downside,
water
I'd hate to want to diet there because you have a craving for bagels all day.
I'd hate to see what happened if the toilet overflowed and flooded the bathroom. I'm pretty sure the downstairs oven wouldn't like that.
Nope.
All right, so we're going to move into our last series of news pieces, and that is of Big Finish news. The first piece of which is The Labyrinth of Buddha Castle, the latest in the Tom Baker series, featuring Tom Baker and Lala Ward together again. Let's see. The Doctor and the Romano land in Budapest, intent on enjoying another holiday, but shortly after landing, they find themselves too late to save the life of a man who has seemingly been attacked by a vampire. They learn that this is the latest in a series of violent attacks. It becomes clear that they have stumbled onto something that needs investigating. Aided by a vampire hunter who is searching for Dracula, they look into the nearby Buddha caves, currently being used for storage by the military, and find that the soldiers have problems of their own. Stalked through the tunnels by a monster and up against an ancient evil, the race is on to escape alive and foil the dastardly schemes of the maniacal Zoland Freed. This is...
I don't think Hinchcliffe ever got around to doing Dracula.
No, but vampires were covered in State of Decay.
Oh yeah, E-Space, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And they were a implant from N-Space. They had been escaped there. Okay, that looks like it is out now. Yes.
Yes.
That is out currently today. I'm almost tempted to buy that myself, but I really have to wait until I have a paycheck.
Ticky is good.
Yeah, listening to that blurb, I'm kind of tempted, but I just did things like order a new tablet and phone. So
yeah, those are on my list for a paycheck too.
I need to wait until September before I actually buy any more pleasure things, unless it's a self-reward for hitting my words per month goal.
All right, so moving on from that one, we hit our coming soon section.
There's one more under out now.
Oh, there is?
The War Doctor.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm clicking in your face.
Yes, you are. You're clicking in my face, but I missed that one because I got my articles out of order. Okay, so yes, the next part of the Doctor Who War Doctor Chronicles is out. This is Infernal Devices. Let's see. The Infernal Devices contains 3 stories along with a bonus disc containing a behind-the-scenes documentary. Legion of the Lost, in a time of war, every means of victory must be explored. In the time war, unthinkable must be thought, and neither side can afford to be squeamish about their methods. When the destruction of an obscene weapon leads to the Time Lord, once known as the Doctor, uncovering a secret Gallifreyan initiative, he cannot believe what is being considered. Should victory be sought at any cost, or are there worse possibilities than losing to the Daleks? Next is A Thing of Guile by Phil Marine. The Daleks are developing a secret weapon on asteroid Theta 12. It's imperative that their plans are uncovered. Cardinal Lystra has her hands full studying the range of ancient mysterious armaments the universe has to offer, but she makes it a personal mission to investigate the Dalek project. On this dangerous assignment, there is one particular Time Lord she wants at her side, and he will be accompanying her whether he wants to or not. Next part of it. Jeez.
What?
You may
seriously, Tim.
You may want to mute your mic when you're not talking because it sounds like we're in the middle of a tornado.
Yes, it really does.
Yes, it's like the worst
It sounds
right
like
now.
somebody has the suction part of a vacuum cleaner up to your mic.
All right, I will mute my mic.
Thank you.
By the way, guys, let me know if you're getting any background noise from me. I don't think you are, but if you are, I'll do the same.
It's slight static, but it's very slight. It's tolerable. But I think we need to think about getting headset for Tim.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a little
the
less
reason you're
sensitive.
not getting all the same amount of noise from me.
Okay, so the next part's that never went. On an isolated world ravaged by battle, time itself has become a weapon, laying waste to all who live and die there. Arms and technology are in a state of flux, and it seems that everlasting war is their only option. The arrival of a battered Type 40 TARDIS inside this nightmare offers hope to the combatants trapped within. But when he discovers the truth, the horrors of the Neverwhen will shock even the War Doctor. Jesus! I'm looking at the names in this. John Hurt, Jacqueline Pierce, David Warner, Jamie Newell, Zoe Trapper, Robert Jeez.
You still haven't gotten to listen to the trailer yet, right?
No, I've been kind of preoccupied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David Warner is the star of the trailer.
Really?
And I almost thought he was Rassilon, if not for the fact that there's so many actors out there that already are Rassilon.
Yeah. Well, he would have made a great Rassilon.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Would have.
I'm pretty sure he's playing a Time Lord general that's very Rassilon-like, though.
Well, the reason I'm mentioning this is, you know where one of David Warner's famous voice acting roles is, right? Batman the Animated Series. He was the voice of Ra's al Ghul.
That's right. You did mention that. He also plays Mycroft for Big Finish.
He pretty much set the standard for what Ra's al Ghul should sound like. He has that same kind of level of voice that Alan Rickman did. So yeah, this is currently out now. It'll be released April 30th from other retailers. I cannot, however, see...
What are you trying to see?
I was trying to see how much it was.
There should be a link to the actual...
It is $28.28 for the CD.
Yep. $20 for download. This is another one that I'm restraining myself from buying,
and
just to avoid overspending.
Or you can get it as part of the Time War bundle, which will include all the stories and the sets in this whole Time War set. I'm trying to figure out...
Which means you keep getting boxes sent to you through, I think, 2018 or late 2017, something like that.
That is $100 US for download and $141.42 for the CDs. So something to think about especially if you're a fan of the Time War.
I don't think that's discounted. I think that's a convenience bundle. I'm pretty sure that's just 5 box sets at full price.
Yeah.
4 featuring John Hurt and 1 featuring Paul McGann.
All right, so next we have, coming soon, we have the Doctor Who monthly range. And it is Doctor Who, The Waters of Amsterdam, which we have mentioned previously on the podcast. It is set immediately after Arc of Infinity. And it is Nyssa and Tegan. And then the Fifth Doctor's latest trilogy, Aquitaine, came out this month. Really, that's all that that news happens to be. Then we've got Torchwood Zone 10 coming out in April.
Well, that link is basically a list of all of the announced main range releases coming out throughout the rest of this year.
I'm thinking right now I might have too many links open because I can't get it to progress any further.
Oh, okay. It mentions the trilogy concludes in March with the Peterloo Massacre, which I think we covered the initial announcement and coming soon of that one. And then continues with the Fifth Doctor for the multi-Doctor trilogy with the two Masters, And You Will Obey Me, featuring Jeffrey Beaver's Master. It moves on to the Sixth Doctor with Alex McQueen's Master and Vampire of the Mind. And then the Seventh Doctor versus the two Masters in the Two Masters. We've covered all of those individually through announcements.
Yeah.
We then move on to the Seventh Doctor trilogy, we have which is featuring both Mel and Ace. People are still speculating as to where in the timeline that's going to be set, but as of now, Big Finish has not confirmed and probably won't until the trilogy is out. That consists of A Life of Crime, Fiesta of the Damned, and Maker of Demons. We then move on to single episode tales for later in the year, starting with The Memory Bank and Other Stories, starring Peter Davison. And then the Sixth Doctor and Constance Clark have a trilogy, which are Order, Absolute Power, and Quicksilver, with the latter two both being in December. 2017 kicks off with another Peter Davison trilogy. He seems to be getting a lot of trilogies right now.
Because he's the one that's really, really, really involved.
Yeah. Which with the Starmen, the Contingency Club, and one additional story whose name has not yet been announced.
All right. All right, then moving over to their Torchwood section, we have Zone 10. Toshiko Sato leads Russia on a trail of a mysterious radio signal, but who will be waiting for? The trailer is out now. Also, Torchwood: The Victorian Age, starring John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, also has its trailer out. You can listen to both of those. You can subscribe to the whole of Series 2 today at £45 on CD, probably about the same for US dollars. And then finally, the one that Bill apparently just found.
Yeah, Matt, you probably haven't seen this yet. If you check the Skype call, I sent another link that had not been up when we put together the original list of links.
Coming in July and August, the Fourth Doctor Adventure Series 5 concludes with the return of some powerful old enemies and a fatal trip for one of the TARDIS crew. I'll see the Doctor. Cuthbert must be a Big Finish villain, played by David Warner.
David Warner's just really getting around lately. He must really love working with Big Finish.
Cuthbert's last encounter with the Time Lord in Doctor Who: The Final Fate saw him cast back through history. Now he's ready to take his revenge from the heart of the 19th century Yorkshire. Also returning as the villain's loyal assistant, Mr. Doric, and the innocent race of aliens known as the Lan, who were first dragged into the conglomerate's plans in the Series 2 stories, Sands of Life and Against the Lan. To make matters worse, another old adversary has finally caught up with the TARDIS. The Black Guardian, played by David Troughton in this incarnation, has returned after his defeat in this TV story, The Armageddon Factor, which we will be covering in a few weeks as our first of our season 6 is.
So this is set in between Key to Time and the Black Guardian trilogy.
Yep. Can the Dr. Romana and survive his vengeance? That is available for pre-order now. Either by itself or as part of the Fourth Doctor Adventure Series 5.
And that wraps up our Doctor Who news.
Yep. All right. So we cut to our other sci-fi fantasy information. You wanted to talk about the X-Files finale, Bill?
Well, I put it down. I assumed that somebody here has been watching it, but I myself am still watching season 1, so I have not been watching the new ones.
I have not seen the finale. Erin did. She said it was a little meh.
Okay. I've seen. I haven't been really reading people's comments, but I know a lot. I've seen a lot of shocked comments, basically saying they better not be ending up that way. There better be a follow-up season. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a cliffhanger or what, but
Obviously, it's got to be a cliffhanger.
It's on my DVR, so I'm gonna have to watch it eventually.
Knowing X-Files, it's got to be a cliffhanger. Always
and
is.
By the second piece of news, I take it you went to see Deadpool?
I did. I watched Deadpool on Monday night. It was pretty much exactly what I expected, although I had no idea that Negasonic Teenage Warhead was an actual X-Man that existed.
Yes,
I
she
thought
is.
she was invented for the movie, although
No.
apparently the movie version of her was kind of merged from multiple characters.
Yeah, Negasonic Teenage Warhead has actually spent more time dead than alive in the X-Men universe.
Well,
Negasonic...
who
bloody hasn't?
This one's a little different because basically shortly after Negasonic Teenage Warhead's first appearance, she predicted this big disaster, and that was pretty much when the Sentinels, Cassandra Nova's Sentinels wiped out Genosha, and she died. And she's been back 2 or 3 times, but it's never really her. It's either an illusion or something like that. So I don't know if she's...
Say again?
I don't actually know if she's actually been an X-Men where she wasn't actually dead.
It was surprising seeing Colossus with a teenager that he wasn't sleeping with. But...
Ooh.
Oh, Bill!
Ooh.
Bill!
Ooh.
Bill, that's the whole reason they broke off the Colossus-Kitty relationship, and that was never sexual. Not until
somebody creepy decided to make it sexual.
No, not until Joss Whedon took over, and by that time, Kitty was an adult.
But yeah, it was pretty much exactly what I expected from the trailers. Full disclosure, I'm not a Deadpool fan in general, and I knew that if I picked up his books, I would probably not be a huge fan. But whereas I don't think his gimmick for me personally would work as a comic, it works absolutely perfectly for a movie.
What did you think of Colossus, though?
I think he was a little too comic reliefy for a couple of scenes, but he was dead on.
I swear it was like he crawled out. It was like he crawled right out of the comic book.
I think there were like 2 scenes where I cringed because he was just going way too far as the straight man paladin in order to be a foil for Deadpool.
He is pretty much the straight man. He is the straight man of the X-Men. He's either the straight man or he's Captain Angst. That's pretty much Colossus's modes.
You're more familiar with him than me, but I get the feeling that scene where he was blocking the camera for that one thing that you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't get the impression that would have happened in any other appearance of his.
In a Deadpool era, it might.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, when Deadpool first started, Colossus was deep into Captain Angst mode. He had lost his sister. He had joined Magneto's acolytes. He was pretty much in his whole I hate everything mode. And then he sacrificed himself to save the world and died. So that's the one thing. I've never really sure how much there has been crossing over between Colossus and Deadpool. I mean, obviously Deadpool would know who Colossus is, but
I get the feeling that Colossus would stare at him very confused.
Depends on.
he did have a much like he clearly had an established relationship with him because he took a lot more of Deadpool's crap than I would have expected, just in terms of like being able to handle him without being like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I really can't wait for Deadpool 2. Because I really want to see Deadpool and Cable. Which, by the way, should be the title for Deadpool
Yeah, it should.
2.
Deadpool 2, Deadpool, and Cable.
No, it should just be
or
Deadpool
even-
and Cable.
Or even Deadpool on Cable. Or Noel, that might
No,
phrasing.
that was the
might
name of the
phrasing.
that was the name of the comic book series they had in the early 2000s was Deadpool and Cable.
Mm-hmm.
Really should be the name of the movie too.
We'll see.
And oh, by the way, this is a open message to the producers, all the money men at Fox. Keep your goddamn mitts off the movie, please. Just give him a blank check and let him go to town.
By the way, I do like how ever since the first weekend box office came out, all of a sudden everyone's announcing R-rated superhero movies. Like, did you forget that we already liked R-rated superhero movies?
There's these things called like Sucker Punch and Watchmen and technically, hell, even RoboCop.
Kick-Ass, Blade. I think there's something even more mainstream than that I'm forgetting. Judge Dredd is another one that people have
Dredd,
been
yeah.
mentioning.
Well, okay, Deadpool. It's been out for 2 weeks now, 2.5 weeks, right?
About that.
As of yesterday, it's made over $500 million worldwide.
By the way, Tim, you know you can unmute the mic if you want to talk, right? It's just the background noise we're worried about.
I just wanted to say that I really want them to make a Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends the movie.
God damn it, no.
No. 1,000 times no. Spider-Man does not need to hang out with frickin' Iceman and Firestar.
And Miss Lion. Don't forget Miss Lion.
Fair.
What the hell is this line?
Iceman is owned by Fox and Spider-Man is owned by Sony, so
Good luck.
It will not be happening ever.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, not gonna happen. Not in a long time. Not unless
I'm
Fox
not
stops
even
being bag of
sure
dicks.
who owns Firestar. I think it might be Hanna-Barbera, which would mean it would be Warner Brothers.
That's weird.
Because I think it was made Firestar was made entirely for the cartoon.
You say Firestar, and I'm not sure if this is the actual name of the character I'm thinking of, but my mind reverts to one of Ronnie Raymond's exes. And I know that's not who you're talking about because you're not talking DC, but I'm honestly not sure if I'm familiar with who you're talking about.
In this cartoon, it was Spider-Man, Iceman from the X-Men, and this gal who flew around doing fire stuff.
But Firestar became a canon immigrant, so she's now in the Marvel Universe itself.
Okay,
So
that
she
means
is
it's
canon.
probably owned by Marvel then.
Mm-hmm.
Who made Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends? All it says is the production company was Marvel Productions, so it would have been Marvel either way.
Yeah.
I know there was some issues with Apache Chief and Black Vulcan for a while for DC because of I think they were made by like Filmation or something or whatever. There were some rights issues, but they've gotten those hammered out now.
Oh, it does say that Firestar is a former X-Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Among other things.
I'm not sure if that was. I don't think that was. Okay, no, it was in Spider-Man: His Amazing Friends. Firestar was listed as being a former member of the X-Men. She was basically a stand-in for Jean Grey without being Jean Grey.
Because that comes with its own bag of issues.
Right. And I still say this to this day, Jean Grey is not half as interesting without the whole Scott and Jean romantic angle that Marvel has put the kibosh on.
Yeah, pretty much. Which still makes you question how the hell Cable still exists.
Alternate reality. Alternate reality.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Well, mind you, the Marvel timeline has been split,
To be
refragmented,
fair,
and pasted.
the fact that Apocalypse has not taken over our world in the mainstream Marvel universe already puts the kibosh on Cable. So he pretty much has to be AU.
Actually, no, he's not AU. That's right. Cable's not Scott and Jean's kid. It's Scott and Madeline Pryor's kid.
Really?
So wait, they changed that now?
No, it's always been that case. Scott had Nathan with Madeline Pryor before she became the Goblin Queen and turned evil. And then Jean, wound up having to deal with it back when they first started X Factor. I remember this from the comics back then. The one that was Scott and Jean's kid was Rachel.
See, the only explanation I ever saw for Cable was from the X-Men's 90s cartoon, and that one they apparently got wrong.
This is comics canonical. This is from somebody that read a lot of X-Men comics back in those days. He was
So in other words, the cartoon got wrong, despite how much it got right.
The cartoon, I think, abridged it because they kind of skipped the whole Madeline Pryor Goblin Queen arc.
Yeah.
I think they skipped her entirely, and probably for numerous reasons.
Well, mind you, it was an entire plot by Sinister, but Madeline Pryor was basically a Sinister plot. Anyway.
Yeah. The X-Men cartoon was trying to condense as much as possible into as few episodes as possible, so it makes sense they skipped a few plot lines.
Yeah, after all, that was 10 years. That was 12 years worth of comics, because I'm excluding the original run because there wasn't much development in the original 70-odd issues of X-Men. But really, starting with 75, they tried to basically bring 75 to 1990 and do it in, a few seasons of comic or a few seasons of cartoons. Anyway, we should probably move along now to our 5-minute challenge. Is anybody volunteering to do the 5-minute challenge?
It's been at least a couple weeks since I did it, I suppose.
All right. Yeah, I haven't loaded the stopwatch in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you're lucky I'm on headphones because I would be the one making noise now as there's a train going past my house. All right, stopwatch is loaded. You ready, Matt?
Okay, ready.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so we start off. Actually, I can't remember how they actually started it off. Come to think of it. Anyway, the Doctor is coming in the TARDIS, and suddenly he is disrupted, coming back towards Earth. In the midst of this transit, they actually get a call from Martha saying that she needs the Doctor's help. Immediately upon landing, they are at a factory that they are quickly taking over with UNIT because they have reason to believe that illegal aliens have come in. Turns out that a new car system is possibly responsible and tied into 50 deaths within the same couple of minutes around the world at the exact same time. So they have decided to take over the factory and try to figure out who's responsible for this. As they're doing this, they also decide to check in on the boy genius, 18-year-old who actually made the system and is running his own college for other young geniuses. The Doctor visits and quickly figures out that there's a transporter there and in the private room of this young man, and upon using it, is instantly teleported to a ship where he figures out that it is the Sontarans. He teleports back, and one of the Sontarans follows before he stops its ability to transport any more people temporarily with the Sonic. There are comments about the Sontaran looking like a potato, and also his weak spot at the back of his neck, to which he uses I believe it was a croquet ball, to hit him in the socket and quickly run. The Sontarans try to kill him with the same car system and fail as the Doctor uses backwards logic to confuse the machine. As this is all going on, a couple of people at Unit, including Martha, have been taken control of, if not mind controlled, or in Martha's case, her body cloned and her memories put into a fake clone in order to try and do the more advanced deeds that the Sontarans need done. As this is all happening, the Doctor goes back to Don Noble's house, encounters her grandpa and her mother, whom he has met at least once in previous episodes in the last season. And as he's trying to figure out what's up with the car systems, they suddenly activate and start making tons of fog. And that is our cliffhanger for the first episode. The second episode quickly picks up. The mother hammers in the front window with an axe and manages to save Donna's grandfather from the smoke machines. And they proceed to try and head back to Unit to figure out what's going on, also after finding a car that doesn't use these smoke-making systems. As the Doctor gets back, he starts to notice that there's something peculiar about the smoke. It's not just regular poison, it's something else different, something more metallic, as he puts it, in the air. He has a bit of a conversation with the Sontarans, more jokes about them looking like trolls, and they manage to figure out that the Sontarans are obviously up to something, and they're being very cautious as to what their main goal is, because it's not just about killing off the humans. Although it is a nice side effect that after 80% thickness of the new air, that it does start to kill off humans. To this, the Doctor finally figures out what the boy was promised, that he was apparently going to be given an extra planet, but that was a lie, as the Sontarans also plan to backstab the kid. When he tries to tell his fellow colleagues that they're going to go to a new planet, they'll turn their backs on him and head back into London to try and find their families to get them to safety. The boy is more or less in shambles and just sitting there in his house, just trying to figure out how to put things back together. The Doctor, meanwhile, manages to save Martha and stop the fake clone version of herself. Meanwhile, during all of this has been going on, the Sontarans also had captured the TARDIS, and Don Noble had gone on to their ship. She has messed with their teleporters and has allowed the TARDIS to get safely out of the Sontaran hands. And then the Doctor decides that the final goal is to, first of all, set off the terraforming device, which clears out the smog that the Sontarans have been making, and then goes back onto their ship to use it one more time. If they do not leave the Earth alone, he will destroy them. In the midst of him being prepared to sacrifice himself, the boy genius teleports in and saves the Doctor from having to kill himself, and instead sacrifices himself for all of his previous mistakes, ending the Sontaran invasion and sending our fellow compatriots back to the TARDIS. But before Martha can leave, the TARDIS is suddenly taken off again. All right.
You did it in 5 minutes, 8 seconds, 0.82. I
got very close to that as well. Which is not bad, considering that this is a two-parter for Modern Who.
A two-parter means it's the same as a four-parter classic episode, Matt.
Yeah, and we sometimes get close on that, too.
Well, that is why it's a challenge. Although, you know, I was just thinking about your opening bump, and I realized how you could have improved it.
Mm.
Found some of those clips from the Deadpool trailer. You look like the inside of other people's assholes. you look like an avocado. Haunting. You look like an avocado had sex with another older avocado. You look like Freddy Krueger face fucked a topographical map of Utah. That's what you could have added into there.
Yeah, but that would have also been a little bit stretched, but you know what? It could have worked, I suppose. Actually, what would have been really good is if we could lip sync that to some of the soldiers' reactions, like the soldiers and stuff.
Alright, so, likes. Oh, Frel, there's only 3 of you. Oh.
If you're rolling a D4, then 4 could just be a reroll.
No, I'll have a D3 here in a second.
Even though it's physically impossible, we can make a D3, depending on where you're going to roll the dice.
No, there is such a thing as a D3. You've never heard of one?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. So,
Technically, it could be just a D6 that
First
just that
up
has
is
1, 2,
Tim.
3 twice. Tim.
Me.
what did you like about these 2 episodes overall?
Overall, I really liked Donna Noble. I liked how her reactions with the other characters, especially like her chemistry with the Doctor, her take on the Sontarans, as she called them, and her brief exchanges with Martha.
Donna Noble, out of all the companions in New Who, Donna Noble is my favorite.
Definitely one of the tops.
She is her interactions with the Doctor in particular, she won't take his shit. She's not fawning over him. And yet they're the best of friends, you know?
Yep.
The part where actually I won't mention that because that might become my favorite scene.
As well as the the connection she has with Wilf.
Yes.
Is especially heartwarming.
Yep, she can be hard. And you know, if you'd looked at Catherine Tate from The Runaway Bride, you would not thought she would be able to do heartwarming.
Yeah.
She's a comedian known for playing jerk characters. Hang on, I'm sorry, I'm looking here. I'm looking at Walking Dead Erin here. She's lurching out of the room. I want to make sure she doesn't try to eat my brains.
Brains.
All we wanna do is eat your brains.
Brains.
Okay. So, all right, so now it's D2. Radio. That would be Bill. Just going backwards here.
I'm going to say the attention to small details here, the little things like Chekhov's mallet early on in the episode that Donna later uses to disable a Sontaran, the little things like Rose's face popping up as part of the season plot, not to mention the turn left, turn right as part of the season plot. I think there were, there's... If you come and especially watching this after being familiar with how the season ends, there's quite a lot of little things in there that got snuck in, and that's one thing I definitely enjoyed rewatching it. Is all the little hints and little moments that got paid attention to.
All right. Well, Matt, you're the only one left.
And that's what we liked about RTD anyways. Things I liked about this. We've been discussing this on and off for a long time now, that the Sontarans seem to come off as really mixed depending upon who's been throwing the makeup on. The first time was pretty good, but it was obviously not quite up to modern standards, but it was really good for like early 70s. The second attempt, it felt like it was a little bit rushed, and same with the third one. And then the fourth one that we passed over this time, the makeup for the Sontarans was essentially just recycled masks completely, to the point that they looked like clowns.
Yeah, well, they had the budget of shoestring and dental floss by that point.
So coming off of how that entire run went through and how bumpy that particular makeup road was for Sontarans, it's amazing to see them looking like this. They look absolutely fantastic, like they should have been for a long while now, and they finally, for the first time, it's not that the original suits were in any way bad, but this is a nice, more modern upgrade for those particular old suits for them as well. which were the only things that really held together for them in the previous stories.
I will address some of that and what I like the least, because I'm exactly opposite on you on this, Matt. Not exactly. I will admit the Macs are unbelievably good.
Oh yes.
But I have some issues with some of the other things they did with the Sontarans.
Speaking of the masks, by the way, I did actually see the BBC has an actual video as to how they do the Sontaran makeup on their YouTube channel.
I'm not surprised. That's probably one of the more common ones, especially with Dan Starkey being, Strax.
Mm-hmm. It was actually Dan Starkey getting the Strax makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And they also had one for the Crying Angels.
Weeping Angels.
The Weeping Angels. Wow, the Weeping Angels makeup takes a long time. That's like complete body paint and everything.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to see that essentially the makeup appliance is two pieces. You got the main big potato head, and then you actually have a small appliance that gets essentially glued to the face.
It's amazing to watch some of the makeup for any of this stuff. I was watching a behind the scenes for one of the episodes of Ash vs. Evil Dead the other night. And it was there was an episode where they summon a demon. If you remember that, I don't know how much you've seen of it, Matt.
I haven't gotten through any of it yet. I've only seen the first episode so far.
And the makeup job on this demon's amazing. The thing is that people were that did kind of raise some eyebrows, is that the actor that was playing it had to basically walk around set naked.
Oh.
But it's like we're all professionals here, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So really, what they're doing with makeup and prosthetics these days is just unbelievable, and the BBC is one of them.
Yeah, when the BBC actually does things right, which is doing on-screen actual effects like this, it's amazing the stuff they can do.
All right. So what I liked about this season, and I'll have to admit, this is Tenet in his prime. This is 10 when he's the best of being 10, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This season is one of my this is my favorite season.
He's had 2 years to grow into the character, but he's not yet in the wandering alone emo phase, getting ready to, in between touring Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm. He's wandering around with Donna. They bicker like an old married couple. They honestly do. But that's absolutely perfect for their relationship. But just the way he's solving stuff, the way he's going on, everything is beautiful. And I really just love him in this story. Okay, so things you don't want. Should I just go in the same order? Are we cool with that today?
I guess.
I guess too.
All right, Tim, what didn't you like about this episode?
The guy who invented Atmos, his character seemed kind of seen it before. The guy who believes that he's helping the villains because he not like the naive genius is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, he wasn't just a naive genius. At least with that, they gave him a reason for doing it. I'd actually mentioned it to Aaron. Had this been a Moffat episode, he would be doing it because he's evil.
Yeah.
It's my main issue with a lot of the stuff in the Moffat era is there's no motive for the bad guys, and here you've got this, this genius kid who's years ahead of his time, but has pretty much been socially cut off from everybody because nobody understands him. So he decides to try to create this perfect society, and because of that, falls dupe to the Sontarans. I don't think that they executed it as well as they could have.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't rest that entirely on the shoulders of the character. I think that might have been a slight writing fail.
And I do like how he redeemed himself in the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bill. what
All right,
about you?
mine is another thing that RTD like to do, especially with this being a two-parter, and that's those long, drawn-out scenes that seem to stop the action dead, but don't actually really contribute anything in the long run of the episode. And I know some might agree about some of these, like the scene with Martha and her clone, just feels like it drags on without actually making the episode any better. There's a couple other moments like that along that same sort of vein.
I really didn't find those detracting that much. But that's my opinion. All right, Matt, how about you?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Something that I didn't really necessarily care for. I don't much care for how easily bamboozled yet again, how easily taken over and surprised Unit is.
Yeah, Unit is, and this is an indicator throughout the entire RTD era. Unit is played as a bunch of incompetent morons. If you think about every time they have shown up in RTD era, the first time they show up is a bunch of alien experts in Aliens of London, where they're promptly all zapped to death. They're basically hench. They're basically used as hench in the Christmas Invasion. And then I don't think you see him again until this episode, where they come out in force.
You see them in the series 3 finale 3-parter, where they're pretty much there to fall victim to the Master.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and they're
the first time they pull out a shield helicarrier.
Yep. And then you see him in this one, and again, they're mostly patsies. There is some change around in this. There are some innovations that are shown by the head of Unit, like having the helicarrier come down to blow the gas away.
Mm-hmm.
That was a genius plan, but they're almost typically military action is, okay, they're a threat, let's nuke them.
Which
So
they could have just called Stark, and he could have blown away all the gas.
all right.
Yar.
So whose least favorite was that? Was that Bill's?
Oh, that was mine.
Okay, that was yours. All right.
I think it's
so
on to you now. Yeah.
Yep. And my least favorite thing here is the Sontarans, but let me give you specific reasoning. One of which is they had this chance to enrich the Sontaran culture, and instead they kind of flanderized it.
Yeah, that is true.
All the time that they're sitting there chanting Sontar ha, Sontar ha. I mean, it was okay a little bit, but they kept going on with it.
And I think this episode introduced Sontarha.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. So I really feel that was a missed chance. While the space armor looks really good, I don't really agree with it being that color blue. I know why they did it. It's so the fact that if you'd seen them in like typical black Sontaran space armor, you would have gone, hey, look, it's a Jadoon. At the same time, that particular blue color doesn't really, it's too blue.
Invoke fear.
Yeah, it's too blue. It's in your face blue. If you're on a battlefield in that blue, you're going to go, hey, look, target.
To which I would remark that the Sontarans don't care because they'll just keep walking towards you anyway and reflect all your weapons.
No, but the Sontarans traditionally have some intelligence of military strategy, which I think we were talking about last week. They wouldn't paint a bullseye on their face for their entire fleet. Maybe they're elite warriors, but not the entire soldier on the fleet.
The dark blue I can understand because that'll still get dark even in dark locations, but yeah, the light blue of the main body is a little too bright, I would agree.
Even the mid-range blue is too dark, for my opinion. It should have been more of a navy blue.
At least from my angle it is. At least for the dark parts of it.
No, it's more of a royal blue.
Mm.
Part of that is the lighting, because RTD like to use the really, really blue and purple and red lighting when dealing with aliens. So it really draws out the colors. But yeah, there's a lot of royal blue,
And it's
when
like
you see
royal
those
blue.
in regular lighting too, and
It's
that's
royal blue and powder blue. And
Yeah,
it should have
the light is power blue, which is ugh.
yeah, it should have been more of a navy blue.
yeah.
It should have been a navy blue with royal blue highlights. Really, is what it should have been.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, and that I could have taken, or if they had known about it this ahead of time, if they would have made the Jadoon blue with that blue colors, because that would have actually made sense for a police officer.
Yeah.
True.
Whereas, and then kept the black for the Sontarans. Because the Sontarans looked good in black. And they could have done that in black. This makes it look a little chintzy. And I don't remember the Sontarans being quite as short as they were in this.
There have been numerous mentions of them being slightly shorter than humans on a regular basis.
This was a little underdone.
I mean, in the Time Warrior, I think they were pretty large humans that they were dealing with, but I'm not sure if there's any specific photos. Do you have anybody remember off the top of your head what the name of the Sontaran in the Time Warrior was?
Lynx. It's the only Sontaran that didn't start with an S.
True.
But no, there's a scene in particular where they have the Sontarans moving the TARDIS, and I'm looking at these guys moving the TARDIS, and all I can see is... Actually, no, at this point it was dink, 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 dink.
All right, Lynx is about the same height as Elizabeth Sladen.
Yeah, these are a little bit shorter because they're danced.
I mean, Pertwee was about a head taller, but that's because he's John motherfucking Pertwee.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's like saying, you know, he's Shaft, you know. You shut your mouth, but I'm talking about Pertwee. Then I can dig it. But no, I just found them to be they were a little Flanderized in my opinion, and that's why I was a little turned off by them. They're not my favorite comeback to Who. All right, so scenes that you like.
That's Tim first. Yeah.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was having trouble with unmuting my mic. My favorite scene is the scene where Donna tells the doctor, "I'm not going with you. I'm going home."
God damn it, Tim.
And the doctor is like tries to like be very stoic and noble.
And it's just like, you're just going for a visit, aren't you? You'll be right back. You Dumbo.
You Dumbo. But I just love David Tennant's performance, like the way he delivers is like, "Oh, I never got to show you the crystal thing of that and the mystical marvel of this."
By the way, that's one of those nods to the season finale I was talking about, because he references the Medusa Cascade.
Yeah, and that was a running thing. I think actually might have been as far back as the season before.
Mm-hmm.
Where it got mentioned in passing in the season before, or in the Christmas special, and then continued on through this until you actually got to see it. Still, yeah, that was actually one of my favorite scenes. So now I have to think of another one. Thanks, Tim.
Ha ha.
All right, Bill, your favorite scene.
I'm gonna have to go when the Sontarans turn on. I didn't even bother to remember his name. The bad guy, because it was just
the genius
so,
boy G.
Yeah, it's just so freaking satisfying to see them turn on him.
You see this little annoying twerp, and this suddenly all of his best laid plans are all lies.
Yeah.
And
Sort of like
down.
seeing the Daleks turn on Mavic Chen. You're just like, fucking yes.
All right. Matt?
Oh. Picking out a favorite scene. Actually, I bet you Brandy's gonna pick that one anyway. Unless you don't know what your
Go
favorite's
ahead,
gonna be
Matt. Go ahead.
yet. Okay, crossing fingers. Hopefully, don't steal this from you. When Donna's talking with her grandfather the first time, catching him up on everything she's been doing.
Not actually the one I was going to pick.
Oh, okay. It was just a really nice little scene where
Oh,
he's kind of understanding of where she's going, what she's doing, that she's really does trust this guy. He's been doing a lot of good things for her, and he's just double checking to make sure that she feels safe doing this.
Yep, I'm actually going to bookend that and
Okay.
say that scene where she's talking to Wilf right at the end before she leaves. And he's just like, you go on, you keep doing this. And you get the feeling that Wilf wants to go with so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows he's too old to go on the adventure.
And he'd be afraid of holding back the doctor, yeah.
Yeah, it's just almost puppy dog sad.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go to the future and meet the Daleks.
He's forced to only be able to live vicariously through Donna. And then, of course, eventually he will get his own adventure where he will meet Rassilon.
Yeah, that not everybody gets to meet Rassilon. Only special people get that privilege.
And inadvertently kill the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Knock 3 times. Oh, it had to be you.
It had to be you. All right. So, scene you liked the least, Tib.
The scene I liked the least would have to be the scene where the 2 soldiers find the machine where the clone is made, and it's like that cliche in every science fiction movie where a mysterious box opens up. I'm going to lean over and take a good look.
And that of course leads to the sneak attack from the title card.
Yep. Yeah. You'd think people would be smarter ever since Alien.
Should we poke the green stuff that we don't know what it is and it smells really nasty? How's he higher that? No! Let's keep hanging around while we hear this ominous voice yelling at us. Maybe we should just leave and not be stupid.
All right. Bill?
I say this so often, I fear he's going to start thinking it's personal, but I'm going to say my least favorite scene is Tim's favorite scene. I don't remember how I felt about it the first time I watched it, but rewatching it, knowing the end of the scene, it's just so unbelievably cheesy and part of those 2 drawn-out scenes, and I'm just cringing the whole time I'm watching it.
The one with him and Donna?
Yes.
You're cracked.
I didn't notice how.
Yeah, I have to totally disagree with you,
dislike
Bill.
my favorite scenes. Is that a pattern?
This is at least the 4th time that I've chosen your favorite scene as my least favorite scene.
Bloody loony.
Yeah, you're officially out of your gourd. That was like the best comedically timed part in the entire serial.
It was beautiful. It was perfect. You're nuts.
I'm sorry, Bill. We totally disagree with you.
If Tim hadn't taken that as his favorite scene, I would have. And although I think I would have had to go through Matt first.
No, I actually was thinking the scene with Donna and her grandfather anyway.
Do you just have like the emotional capacity of a snail? Is that what's wrong with you?
I don't know, it's just the whole time, and she's just sitting there, and it would help if she had a more consistent expression on her face, because she seems to be going back and forth. Like, I don't want to spoil this for the audience, but I don't want to get too deep into it either. And I don't know, I was cringing the whole time I was watching that scene.
Oh, you could see that she kept starting to open her mouth, and he'd cut her off.
Yeah.
Or at least I think once she's like, what? You know, she's going to start saying, what are you talking about? And he cut her off again. I thought it was great myself, so you can kiss off, Bill. All right, Matt, your least favorite scene.
You're a loony. Least favorite scene. And this is actually probably one that really disdained the character a lot for me. When Genius Boy starts talking to the other geniuses, and he comes off as super controlling and kind of creepy.
Oh, he's supposed to be kind of creepy.
Well, I mean, like in it comes off as creepy and just really weird and stilted. Like it was also kind of poorly written in parts too, and it's just like, how did this guy ever come off as charismatic enough for these people to ever actually follow him?
Yeah, I think they wanted him to come off as some kind of genius version of David Koresh, and it didn't really work.
Nah, that particular scene is where I feel is where he was at his weakest. I'm not sure if it was the direction or the writing or what, but something just kind of backfired on that.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice if it was actually seriously creepy, but it's just kind of, wow, this is really kind of stilted. Why did anybody like him again? Anybody? Why were you all here?
I mean, it really seemed like he just walked onto a random campus and brought up a selected breeding program. It really did.
Yeah, and that was even more awkward.
Yeah.
And you could tell the one chick who was actually the one actress trying to save that scene was just like, breeding program, and she reacted to it with the look of like, I'm gonna clock this guy. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but some of those deliveries just kind of
All right. So my least favorite scene is, I think, the one where the Genius Boy is on the spaceship and they start going to the chant and he starts mimicking them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. First of all, if I was Sontaran, I would have turned to him and go, "No, you don't get to play with the big boys. No."
Yeah.
Go back to your corner and sit down.
Yeah, that's
let
like,
the real Sontarans
that's like if you're the one friend that shows up like with a bunch of Marines and you're not one, and they start chanting "Hua" and you try to join in, they're gonna shut you down. Or who? No, sorry, that's Soldiers
Hoorah.
is Hua.
It's
sorry,
hoorah.
Soldiers is Hua. Been a little while. Either way, Soldiers or Marines,
yeah,
you're not going to just be a civilian and join in without them saying something.
Are you kidding? It's even worse if you're Navy.
Oh.
There's a little rivalry there.
Yeah, Navy's Hua. Damn it, hoorah, hoorah, and Hua. Whatever. Either way, not the topic of conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Being Navy and walking into a Marine bar, never good for you.
Well, if you're the DD, maybe.
Oh, if you're high enough, it don't matter what rank you are. If you're a high enough officer, but if you're a listed Navy and you walk into a Marine bar, yeah.
If you're the designated driver, I think they'll give you a pass.
All right, so
depends on who your friends are.
My least favorite scene, Frel. Oh wait, no, I said mine. Okay, so it's.
Wait, did you?
We got. Yeah, it was when he was up on the ship and the.
Oh right, yeah.
So we've got about 20 minutes left, a little less, 15. No, we should probably get going then.
Yeah, we got 5 thoughts.
Well, yeah, I think we have a little bit. I was going to just mention one thing.
Go ahead.
This kind of, just because of its placement, kind of ends the trend of, bring back a first Doctor Monster in Series 1, bring back a second Doctor Monster in Series 2, bring back a third Doctor enemy in Series 3, and bring back a mostly fourth Doctor enemy in Series 4. What do you think would have happened if RTD had continued? Would the Black Guardian have showed up the following season?
I don't know, because the Black Guardian started with the fourth Doctor.
He was late fourth, early fifth, just like the Cybermen or the Sontarans.
Maybe the Pteroleptals or the Tracadors would have been a better one, or maybe the Mara.
The Mara is another one I was considering. Yeah.
Mm.
Does that mean if he had gone on for a 6th series, we would have gotten the Vervoids.
No, well, I'm firmly in the camp that it would have been the Ronnie.
The Ronnie would have been good. It also, what's his face? The slug Sills people would have been
Sills
cool.
people.
That's right,
Oh,
because
those would have been awesome to
he
bring
fought
back.
they met the Sixth Doctor twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
They only
which
met
puts
with the
that
Sixth
as kind
Doctor.
of which put him kind of as the Sixth Doctor's most frequent unique enemy.
So what would that have left for a 7th season?
Some sort of godlike
That's
being.
a
That
good
seems to be what the
question.
7th Doctor dealt with the
Yeah.
most.
I mean, unless it would
Fenrir?
have to be something like Fenric or the Gods of Ragnarok to be a really specific enemy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, technically we did get that, but it was Series 8 when we had to play with Odin.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right, so let's go to our final thoughts. All right, go ahead, Tim, your final thought.
Tim?
My final
There you go.
thought is that this was a superb episode, both parts that was well acted, performed. It was nice to see Martha again, but Donna was great as always, and I think we're all right in that this was Tennant at his peak, like at the top of the curve, so to speak. So I really liked this episode.
All right. Bill?
This isn't I've heard, for whatever reason, a lot of criticism about this episode. I don't think it's a bad episode. I do find some parts of it don't quite live up to their potential. Some parts definitely do. And of course, it's definitely enjoyable just for the fact that it brings back an old companion for 3 episodes, with obviously 2 in this serial and 1 in the following. Altogether, it's a good story, if not particularly a great one.
All right, Matt?
I have only heard 2 major nitpicks, one of which is the change in the color of the uniforms for Sontarans, and our other major nitpick seems to be Genius Boy when he does something obviously stupid or really, really awkward that doesn't quite work. Outside of those nitpicks, this is a rather well done, pretty straightforward and well directed story. There's some nice effects here and there, and a nice return of a lot of characters actually all at once, both classic villains as well as current series characters. So, an enjoyable romp.
All right. Well, as Tim put it, this is Tennant at his height. This is my favorite season of New Who. And I think in retrospect, I don't think I can find an episode this series that I could actually be angry at.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike, Series 8, where you had freaking Sleep No More, which just annoyed the hell out of me. I don't think there's
Series
a sub...
9.
That was
Yeah,
Series
Series
9.
9. Sorry, yeah. I don't think there is a subpar episode in this particular run. And this is, I think, this is not the strongest one in this series, but it's still one of the ones I like the most.
There's an episode you got angry at, but only at the ending.
Yeah, it's one scene, and that doesn't make up for the epicness of that doesn't completely destroy the epicness of the rest of it. Anyway, I still I think this is well above par episode. It does have some faults, so it's not going to be perfect, but I do think it is very well done. Erin also liked it as well, though she did not give me a rating. So,
yeah, she did mention to the group that she would bring her ratings hopefully next week.
Okay. So, Tim, you can start the ball.
I really, really like this episode. I think whatever problems it had in the end are negligible, so I'm going to give this a 5.
Not surprised, not surprised. And Bill.
Think I might be the low baller this week, at least until Aaron comes around, and we'll see what happens then. But I'm going to go with a 3.5.
Ooh.
Matt.
There are some nitpicks, but the nitpicks can kind of disrupt people depending upon how much they take in on that. And while it's not enough to downgrade an entire score, I'd say it downgrades it by at least a quarter, and I can't quite push it up to that 5, so 4.5.
4.5. I'm going to agree with Matt. I'm right on that 4.25 edge, but it's going to be above it, so it's going to be a 4.5.
For the record, if we were doing quarters, I would have said a 3.75.
Technically, then, if rounding
Technically,
up to
that would have been rounded up to a 4 then.
But at quarters, so he's rounding up to a 3.75.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 3.65 or something. But okay, we'll have to get Aaron's scores next week. At the moment, this clocks in at a 3.75.
Wow, Bill.
Or, excuse me.
It feels so good to give something a 5 again.
4.375.
Okay, that sounds a little bit proper.
Yeah, I was going to say there was something wrong with that.
Wow, Bill downed it an entire point and a half.
I'm sorry, I am actually very tired tonight. So I had a long day. I had to go to class for a lab, and then I spent a great deal of time at Costco because Aaron needed soup.
And then helping take care of Aaron.
And then I had to put everything away, and then I had to cook dinner and eat it. So, and that was not done. I'm still have half a slice and a half of pizza sitting here. So it's been a moderately large day for me because computer lab takes some stuff out of me. Anyway, so by our ratings, Sontaran Stratagem Poison Sky comes in at number 25. Or excuse me, number 24 of our current list of 143 episodes ranked. It is right above the Three Doctors, on par with Terror of the Zygons, Destiny of the Doctor, Smoke and Mirrors, Husbands of River Song, another one we still have to get Aaron's score for, Face the Raven, The Time Warrior, Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, The 11th Hour, and it's just below The Invasion, The Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion, and Spare Parts. So it's in a very high company, and also in some of the other Sontaran episodes.
Mm-hmm.
While we're looking at ratings, since we didn't do this as part of our Sontaran run, I just want to mention the Two Doctors, for those who might have forgotten it. Which we reviewed back in season 1, had a 2.17 average, which is from me, Matt, and Ran. Tim, by any chance, have you seen that episode? If you know of it at all?
I have not seen the Two Doctors.
Okay.
You should see it, and we'll see what your reaction is to it.
Currently, that one's sitting at number 135 out of 143. It's one of our low ballers.
Google Drive is acting up on me, so I can't see if we had a score from any of our other contributors from the time.
I don't think Aaron was around, and
no,
I think actually that was during that period of time when it was just the three of us. We had just lost the previous two over the last month or so.
I think Flynn and Fireheart were part-time at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no other contributors to the Two Doctors.
Well, based on my history, I'll probably love it.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. It's pretty bad.
When you start reading into the context, yeah, it gets pretty bad.
Yeah, it was worse than I expected it to be. I thought I would enjoy it, and I didn't.
I was all
Yeah.
right with it, and then I started reading into more of the context as we went along. I'm just like, wow, this is actually a kind of deplorable episode, isn't it?
It is. It's pretty bad.
Dang.
The second Doctor is a racist bastard.
No!
For one episode, he is, apparently.
Yeah. He apparently has a thing against androgums. All right. So I think that'll about do it for our show this evening. We're a little bit early, but we're a person down, and that usually will speed things up.
Mm-hmm.
Not too far early though.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, and I guess since we have a moment, a fix with Sontarans. Not much to talk about. Tegan and the Sixth Doctor. Ending kind of makes it impossible to be canon, and it's very short.
It's not really actually
Rating
considered...
not applicable out of 5.
Yeah, it's not even really part of Doctor Who. It's part of Jim will fix it. So
Yeah,
it's
basically
they're
a comic
cameoing.
sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like our podcast, please go ahead and like. If you enjoy the podcast, please go ahead and like the video on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube, Twitch, and Mixcloud. You can also subscribe and like for news and updates on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/unearthlypodcast and twitter.com/unearthlypod. And if you want to go ahead and help us out a bit, you can go on over to patreon.com/unearthlypodcast.
All right, and then next week we're going to take a step sideways and look at the only canonical appearance of the Sontarans to happen in one of the spin-off series, and that's in the Sarah Jane Adventures episode, The Last Sontaran. I don't have who wrote that.
Phil Ford.
Phil Ford, okay,
Yeah.
Who I think was a pretty regular writer for...
I believe he was, yeah, and then he came to Doctor Who in series either 7 or 8. 8, I think.
Yep. So we will see you next week as we scramble to get a hold of a copy of that.
Yep, and that episode is a direct sequel to this one, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was released in between seasons after this season was done. I think Sarah Jane did early spring, yes?
I think so.
Alrighty. See you all next time.
Be good.